Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very important program of our next video, organized as an orientation program for all of us. Though it is targeted that newly employed staff will benefit more, the union strongly believes that all of us need this orientation and reorientation. Of course, as teachers, we always say that we learn, unlearn, and relearn. So this is an opportunity for us to actually relearn when unlearning some of the things we are learned. I am aware that many of us do not even know a lot of things about the principles of our great union, which will assist us greatly in carrying out our daily duties. So, we are all welcome. Please, may I enjoin people at the back to kindly move towards the front so that we can start right immediately. We don't get too comfortable when our students sit at the back when they are sitting in front. I will practice from the stage. Thank you. Very quickly, I've been mandated by my chairman, the chairman of this brand, the noble engineer, Ben Jimidada, that we should start the program immediately. On that note, as I welcome members to the high table, I'll call their names and I expect that we appreciate them with our rounds of applause as they are introduced. We have the Vice Chancellor of this great university, Professor Rompalu, ably represented by DVC Strategy and Innovation, Professor Ogunkule. Please, can we usher him to the high table? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Of course, my boss is wearing two caps here. He is the DVC here, and he is the Vice Chancellor here. So, basically, can we... I also have with me another big fish, of course. They say that big fishes have no hiding places. We also have BBC academic, Professor Dio Araram, here to be ushered to the item. Thank you, sir. LAUTECH is very blessed, and blessed indeed. There are intellectual juggernaut academic warehouses, of course, who have been fished by this noble union to tutor us again and again. And when I say tutor us again and again, I mean there are professors of professors who understand the principles of our union and the essence of our profession. And here, I recognize the presence of Professor Omoto Yolorede, who will be the major lecturer for this lecture of the lecture program. Please, for that, shall we have you usher to the item? I expect that this hall will be more silent than this, because that is the primary thing we preach when we enter the classrooms. We want our students to maintain that decorum of silence so that our lectures will be impactful. On that note, I kindly encourage all of us to let the program be the only thing we are doing at the moment. Thank you. Yes, when we call something an orientation program, it is assumed that some people will be given that mandate of teaching us. So we have to be recognized. After the eminent personality I am going to call now first, our guest lecturers will be invited. Now we have with us also Professor Koju Akinyoju, who is our intellectual bigwig to be ushered to the item. Daddy, please, we require the presence of the item. Yes, sir. Thank you. We can encourage Daddy more as he comes. Thank you. Yes, there are people they call intellectual agents. There are some of them we cannot unlace their intellectual shoes. And I have with me the eminent Professor Latif Agbaje, who is expected to be on the table. Shall we have you on the table, sir? Please kindly be ushered to the table. Yoruba will say Enila, Lo Shomula. And of course, I have another unparalleled scholar whose intellectual voice will always give some of us conviction that Lautech has got intellectual big fishes. Professor Oluben Gabriel, you are welcome to the activity. Thank you. Also to be on the high table today are all the past chairpersons of this great union. I could see Professor Lawal, and also of other past chairs that are here. Please, could they be encouraged to the high table? Our clerk will encourage them to come. Thank you. Other chairpersons that are here present, we would like to have you. Of course, as scholars, our primary role is to teach, of course, complemented by research and community service. Research is practically impossible without the library, because that's what we do. We consult materials, we use the internet, and we do all of that. So we have here our university librarian, Dr. Olufunke Ibijuwa, ably represented by Mr. Solomon Olusegun. Shall we usher into the ITV? Our librarian here represented. You are welcome. Thank you. And first, our union is a union marked for principles, marked for excellence, marked for timeliness. We will not waste our time at all. While respecting other necessities of protocols, we will go straight to the kernel of today's basis. I have recognized members to the high tables. I have been told to go to the next item on the program. I know some of us are waiting to dance to Agilete Niwa, but I'll crave your indulgence to welcome the chairman, ASUU branch, to give us the welcome address. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor, ably represented by Professor Obukule, distinguished members of the management team, esteemed colleagues, our respected invited resource persons, our participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to warmly welcome you all to this academic orientation workshop organized by the Academic Staff Union of University, ASUU, Lautech branch. This workshop is a proof of our union's unwavering commitment to professional development, capacity building, and the continuous advancement of academic standards within our institution. As the academic landscape evolves rapidly, it is imperative that every academic staff member, particularly our newer colleagues, are adequately equipped with the knowledge, skills, and institutional insights required to thrive. The themes and topics for this workshop have been carefully selected to provide practical guidance on key areas such as teaching methodology, research engagements, publication ethics, student relations, and academic career progression within the university system. We trust that these sessions will not only serve as a guide to professional excellence, but will also foster collegiality and reinforce our shared academic values. Permit me at this juncture to appreciate the University Vice Chancellor, Professor Razak Olatunde Rob-Kadilu, for the payment of long outstanding promotion arrears covering the years 2013 to 2015. This gesture is well noted and commendable. However, I must also respectfully use this occasion to remind the Vice Chancellor of several present welfare concerns that remain unresolved and which continue to affect the morale and productivity of our members. These include the outstanding promotion arrears from 2016 till date, which continue to weigh heavily on the motivation of staff. The urgent need for a functional and responsive health insurance scheme that genuinely caters to the healthcare needs of academic staff. The unpaid balance of the canned academic allowance (EAA) is statutory entitlement that remains overdue, and the increasing challenge of inadequate staffing, especially in departments now overstretched by rising student enrollment and the loss of academic personnel. We remain confident in the good faith and responsiveness of the present administration and trust that these matters will receive the prompt and practical attention they deserve. As I conclude, I would like to thank everyone involved in the planning and execution of this event and all our members who have taken the time to participate. May today serve as a time of learning, reflection, and renewed dedication to our noble calling as scholars and nation builders. Thank you very much. Solidarity without compromise.
Thank you so much, our chairman, for that very brief but insightful opening remark. Yes, because we do not have enough time, I will actually have solicited for what I'll call clapping ovation for the chairman. When we could attend the clapping ovation for the chairman. And I'll tell you why I said that. The chairman just promised us now. I thought it's just an orientation program, but just told me that, or told us that it's a workshop, that we'll be working and we'll be chopping. So chairman, please let them be bringing in the food. While I invite the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by Professor Nkule, to give us the opening remark. Thank you. You are welcome, sir.
Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics and Innovation, a representative of the University Librarian, our erudite scholars and mentors seated on the high table, the resource persons invited to come and educate us today, our former chairman, distinguished professors here present, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to represent the Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Razak Olatunde Romkalilu. Actually, until last night, he had prepared to be here personally, but he was called late in the night by the Pro-Chancellor to go and represent him today at an occasion that is taking place, whereby our governor, the governor of the state, will make a book presentation. So kindly accept his apologies. On his behalf, I want to welcome everyone to this all-important occasion and an auspicious occasion for that matter. This occasion is unprecedented. You will agree with me in this news. I want to remark on behalf of the VC that as far back as the year 2007, when our Vice Chancellor was Deputy Vice Chancellor, that was the last time crops of individuals were engaged as permanent staff in this university. Since that time, till some time ago, only ad hoc, part-time, and honorary staff were engaged. But as God will have it, in the Vice Chancellor's second coming, now as acting Vice Chancellor and later, up to the moment, the Vice Chancellor, about 200 individuals have been engaged as academic staff in this university. And I must mention that this is on full-time basis. Now that this has been done, and today's occasion has been organized, I want to say on behalf of the VC that this is a welcome development. It is a welcome development because as academics, we need to update our knowledge. Knowledge enriches our wisdom, and wisdom will always lead to change in behavior. And since this occasion is meant to enhance the performance of our colleagues, it is highly welcomed by the university. And I want to mention that the university has planned, and is already on the plan, to hold similar workshops for all categories of staff in the university. But we have tarried because engagement of staff continues for some time, and we want to bring it to a conclusion so that everyone will be a beneficiary in that workshop. But I thank God my union has taken the lead. So I congratulate the chairperson, the ESCO, and everyone in our union. I will not close this remark without specially welcoming our senior colleagues, namely Professor Omotoye Olorode, and Professor Kojo Akinyemi. As a learner, I've had causes to interact with the two of them. They are epitomes of humility, and they combine hard work and discipline with their personality. Without them knowing, I personally have learned a lot from them. And I want to thank them especially this morning for coming to allow themselves to be used so that upcoming generations in academia will be able to tap from their fountain of knowledge. I congratulate the newly engaged staff who are the prime beneficiaries of this workshop. But as rightly stated by the MC, every one of us needs orientation and reorientation. Because I know as biologists, we keep evolving. Society keeps evolving. Therefore, we must continue to learn and relearn so that we can always align with the trends. So thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor, for declaring this workshop open and for your words that have penetrated us so intellectually. Thank you so much, sir. Before we go on very quickly, let me appreciate our very busy bosses and superiors who have found time to be here today, the deans of our faculties, the members of our governing councils. You are welcome here and you are highly appreciated. I've been asked by the chairman of this branch to remind people who are here but who have not registered to kindly go to the back and register that they are here. It is very important. So thank you very much. Well, we move on to the next program, which will be the first lecture to be given by our eminent Professor Omotoye Oloribe. But before I invite Baba, I must quickly say that Baba has assured me that I should also assure this gathering that the Oloro that is coming here is not the one that will threaten women not to see it. Women can see this Oloro. This Oloro is the one that will impact intellectual necessities onto us and give us necessary tidbits for professional survival. I will also quickly let us know that, and in accordance with the principles of ASUU, to give sacrifices maximally, transparency and accountability. We have one of the most accountable and transparent individuals, one of the most sacrificial personality I know in the academia in Nigeria to speak to us. Baba has been in and out of dental clinic in the past 3 days, and one wouldn't expect that he would be here to impact onto us. But Baba is here. I want us to welcome him with both standing ovation and clapping ovation to appreciate his sacrifice for our baby. Thank you, Baba.
Sit down. Thank you very much. Let me start by apologizing that I have slides for this talk. If you look at my face, you will see that one side is really very big. I have been suffering one bad toothache for like 4 days now. So that is why I don't have. So, Comrade Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, the librarian, distinguished colleagues, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our union for giving us this opportunity to exchange views on understanding ASUU and the current challenges in the Nigerian university system. The talk, I was told, is to be given in like 30 minutes or so. And the theme already I have articulated.
understanding ASUU and the current challenges of the Nigerian university system. I start with what does understanding mean? And I follow that with the growth, development, and underdevelopment of the Nigerian university system. In a sense, the real challenges of the Nigerian university system is that we have a system that developed but is now going through a very serious process of underdevelopment. It's a very, very serious matter. I will talk about the National University Commission, NUC, education, and the culture industry. What we call education is really the culture industry. It's not just about dancing and dressing and so on. In fact, it's only in places like Nigeria that you have Ministry of Culture different from Ministry of Education. In other places, what they have is Ministry of Education and Culture. So we will talk about some of these, education and culture industry. I was also asked to talk about the formation of ASUU. How did ASUU start? I will talk about the working class, people who have to sell their labor to be able to live. There are many people in our category, professors and things, who think that they are not in the working class. But objectively, university teachers are in the working class. And if you don't believe it, the unfolding condition that we are going through should let you know that we are really in the working class. We go on strike and they stop our salaries. As if we are people who are digging trench. You know, depending on how long trench you dig, you will then be paid for that. That is what we have. Lecturers are already working today for visions of 10 years from now. So we are not people who are just laying bricks or digging bricks. Not that the people who are laying bricks are not important, but it's a different kind of job that we have. I tell my students, the only reason I'm in the university is to serve you. That's the only reason. So anytime you find me, whether in a beer parlor or on the street or something, if there's anything you want to ask me, please ask me. I will be available to. If you know my house, you can come there. If you meet me on the roadside, you can ask me questions. So, a university teacher, like all teachers really, is a special person. In fact, he cannot be fully paid. Teachers can never be fully paid if they are serious teachers. So I will talk about ASUU, the working class, trade unionism, ASUU principles. I will talk about academic ethics and academic culture. I will talk about the controls and reprisals, the controls and punishments that we have gone through in Nigeria, trying to defend the university system. trying to defend the Nigerian people, trying to make sure that the people who run our country behave responsibly by funding education. I will talk about strikes. Because there's a lot of misunderstanding and it has become a blackmail, as it were, against working people generally, not just academics. And I will talk about principles arising from ASUU struggles. And I will end up by talking about the commitment of the intellectual. We are not just in the working class. We are working class that are also intellectuals. And there's a fundamental commitment that intellectuals have. So I want to thank you for, I'm going to raise these questions only in outline. The paper is already available. So please read it fully. And incidentally, it's a summary. And I've provided a lot of bibliography and literature at the end of the paper. Please check it. If you want any of the bibliography and literature cited and you have no access to it, please tell the chairman. I will make them available to the union so that you can make copies. The Vice Chancellor raised the question that this is like orientation for new staff. But I think he also made the point that this is really orientation and reorientation for everybody. Because there are many senior people, including vice chancellors, who don't know what the university is about. They don't. And we need to be very frank with ourselves. So it's not just about young people or new staff and all of that. It's about everybody to re-engage ourselves, as it were, in some of the issues that bind us together. Broadly speaking, the Nigerian university system is comprised of three main segments: the federal universities, the state universities, and the private universities. And this falls into two broad categories: public funded universities and private for-profit universities. The development of private universities in Nigeria is not fortuitous. It has resulted from the attempt to abandon public funded education. So we must see the continuous licensing of new private universities as ruling class attempt to abandon public funded education. And look at primary schools. There is almost no primary school left at the public funded level. Secondary schools too. And there is a fundamental reason for that. The first thing they tell you if you go and work in a private university is that you cannot join a union. The same thing is with health services. They are abandoning our hospitals so that, public hospitals, so that we are condemned to slave labor in private hospitals, nurses and so on. Look, I know graduate teachers in Ogbomoso who are teaching in private schools, and they are earning like 14,000 naira a year. That is scandalous. And we need to see the totality of these things. Of course, they are not allowed to join in. In other words, they are condemned to slave labor because those organizations are set up for profit. Of course, you know that there are now many universities, private, public. Governors wake up and they just start another university. You know? And they can't run a single one that they have. They can't run them. They not only have more universities in Ogun, in Osun, in this or your. It's not only that they can't run the universities. They make them what we call constituency projects. To please urbans and chiefs and emirs and OPs in all those locations. Because they will be landlords and all of that. They will have candidates to be employed as lecturers and all of that. So it's a comprehensive disaster that we confront. So lecturers need to know beyond just going to the classroom to teach. Everything has what we call a political economy. Everything has a political, and it has a class content. And we need to really understand. ASUU has very extensive leadership training program that is organized at the national level, and which we hope we will be able to cascade to local levels. I have lost count of how many universities we have now. I mean, they are just all over the place. It was only in 1993 that ASUU was empowered to license state universities. 1993. If you look at that from now, between 2007 and 2016, many new state universities were established. At least 12 new federal government universities were established between 2007 and 2016. There were just 152 universities in 2017. 40 federal, 44 state, and 68 private. Up from 124 in 1912. Of course, as I said, I have lost count of the number of it. In fact, I hear that some of our friends, the Ogbomoso academics, are also trying to start an Ogbomoso university here. I mean, of course, for profit, because it's not going to be for profit. And only big people's children will be able to attend, like other private universities. Meanwhile, we have universities like Lautech just dying. You cannot even cut the grass around your environment. You can't keep good lawns. You cannot. I'm not saying that entirely the problem of the university But these are not the kind of university that we attend. And our children need to know. Lecturers need to start raising this question, because this crisis is going to swallow all of us. What they call challenges in this topic is really crisis. And in medical balance, a crisis is when something critical has to be done if the patient is not going to die. Doctors will say that patient is in crisis. And if our universities die, our country will die. But that is also part and parcel of the question. The university culture will die. The academic, intellectual culture will die. All of that. And let me tell you, this is not just a Nigerian government thing. It's not. As we are talking now, I don't know what the situation is in Lautech. People who are controlling our country from abroad and telling our governments what to do with our universities. They started it long ago that people who don't have money should not go to the universities. They started it long ago. ASUU struggled. You see that every meeting that ASUU holds, ASUU insists that Nigerian parents are already overburdened and the government should fund education. All the parastatals that we thought about to bring money like ETF and so on, they have become locations for contractors and all of that. They want to turn ETF into student loans. Student loans that happened and died. Because we have history that these things happened before, around 1993, and it then died. That's what they are doing all over. So as an instrument of social mobility, capacity of people to move up, education has become very important. And therefore many people are then recruited into these high education levels. But instead of defending our people, they join them there. And the task for us, as we are going to see, is to interrogate these matters very seriously. Mr. Gbadabiamila was in Osogbo the other day, and he was talking a lot of rubbish. You know, how government cannot fund education, both at state and federal levels. I have a report. Cannot fund education. Universities should look for means of enhancing their finances. How? Gbadabiamila said we should make our universities enticing to foreign students. Not our own people. Foreign universities that are underfunded, universities where biology students will get a degree and they don't know how to use a microscope, if they ever seen one. That's the kind of university that Gbadabiamila is saying we will attract people, foreign students, to come to. So these things are not challenges. They are ASUU Foundation or formation? ASUU was formed in 1978. And you will remember that 1978 was the year when Euro-American imperialism took over our country. That was when they started saying we need to take loans from America, from the World Bank, and so on. And since then, we have been in that debt trap. As I'm talking to you now, there is all kinds of things that say about how to get more loans from abroad. Every February, every year, the IMF and World Bank people come to Nigeria to coach our leaders in what they call Article 4 meetings. And it is how to reduce our day into night. That is what they come here to do. So it was in 1978 that ASUU was. That was when things started getting really difficult for Nigerian people, including lecturers. You know, brain drain, people who are all over the place, they are getting out of Nigeria as they are now. So ASUU responded by forming a proper trade union to be able to challenge the Nigerian ruling class in that 1978. You will also remember 1977-78 was the year of Ali Must Go, when our children decided that they are going to struggle against commercialization of education in Nigeria, especially university students. And you know what then happened? They read this thing about the military going. It was Obasanjo that started that. This Olusegun Obasanjo person. He was the person who started it. And they read all these things until 1984, when they then have what they call the structural adjustment program. All our colleagues, young and old, need to become familiar with the meaning of these things, because if you don't know where the rain start meeting you, you won't know how you got to this situation. And so the military came in 1984 and enforced what they call the structural adjustment program. We are still in that structural adjustment program today. And basically, the standard instruments of control were debt. You must go and take loans from Sokodogoji people in America. Loans that you will never be able to pay. In fact, you will pay, the interest you are going to pay is going to be 10 times the loan. Obasanjo said he paid some. Tinubu also has just said he paid some. They will always say they are paying the loans. But it's the blood of our people that go into this. And so it's part of the thing about university system. That is why we cannot have proper universities, properly speaking. And if I may just itemize, what is this thing about this foreign control of our country, our educational institutions, and our future? Debt peonage, debt trap, trade liberalization, kill your industry. foreign products can come in. It's still going on now. Nobody controls what people send to us to buy. Of course, most of what we send to them, they will say they are substandard. Currency devaluation. Messing up the Nigerian currency. So this thing started long ago. It's not a new thing. So they are just changing the people who are running our business. From military to civilian, from Obasanjo to Jonathan, from Jonathan to Buhari to Tinubu. They are already getting together to see how they are going to hoodwink us again in 2027. So we need only lecturers, only intellectuals are likely to have the time, ability, and the mission to pursue knowledge on these things. Because our people depend on us. Most of our people are too busy trying to find what they are going to eat this evening or tomorrow morning, what their children are going to eat, and so on and so forth. So it's our duty, part of the commitment of the intellectual, to understand. You cannot tell people that you don't know. They are paying us to know. Our people are paying us in the university to know. I'm not just talking about just your private subjects, biology, history, engineering. No. All those things. Anybody can be an engineer or a doctor, anybody. But very few people can be genuinely intellectuals, committed intellectuals. People who are willing to defend the cause of their people. And ASUU, if you look back, ASUU was closely connected with the Nigerian labor movement, with the NLC, Nigerian Labour Congress. ASUU was closely connected with the student movement. So we need to recreate this triad, this three-legged organization. We need to recreate them. If academics think that the condition of their students don't concern them, they are mistaken. Because the reason we are here is that the students are here. If they are not here, we will not be here. The labor movement, ASUU linked up. That was how we became part of NLC in 1982, was when we joined the Nigerian Labour Congress. Of course, in 1986, the Babangida people removed us from NLC because NLC and ASUU joined our children in the university to protest police brutality. 1986, in Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. We must return to that tripod and rebuild it. I asked my colleagues, do you know where Norgay office is in Ogbomoso, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees? And they are very important. The nurses and midwives, do you know where their office is? We need to get in touch with them, because if we get in touch with them, we can struggle together. We need to encourage our students to build viable students' organizations. Viable, because they are the people who are going to replace us. I know that people complain so much, our children, so. They won't be different from what we are. Those children, all the things we are complaining about is It's because of what we are. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. New lecturers, old lecturers need to understand all of this. ASUU, of course, has achieved so much in terms of organizing, of course, we have paid very heavy prices. Very, very heavy prices. Many of the people that you hear about are people that have lost their jobs because they are defending the university system. They were sacked from the university. This man sitting down here, Professor Kodu, was sacked in Ilorin for 9 years. 9 years. Because of ASUU activities. 3 of our colleagues in Ilorin died. There were 49 of them. 3 of them died before the court finally asked them to be reinstated. So this is not party. It's not tea party. Struggling for the future of our people and our country is not a tea party. We have struggled against privatization of education. That's one of our achievements. In fact, we are struggling now against the proliferation of universities. We have struggled against removal of subsidies. In other words, people will say, what concerns ASUU people about removal of petrol subsidies? Because I know that many of you who own cars cannot use your car now. I know that in this Ogbomoso, in 2012, ASUU, the students were the people who were January 8 or so. They were the people who organized the mass rally in Turkey. 2012, January. I was part of the movement. So, this business is not just about going to the classroom to go and teach students and harass them and things like that. It is to figure out your location in the system. We have fought against reduced public expenditure on health, education, housing, and so on. We have struggled against increases in taxes, especially with respect to the more vulnerable. Our union also has a very robust welfare program. Your branches will give you not able to afford whatever. That's apart from generally defending your rights as a lecturer, right to promotion and so on. Just like the chairman has said. So it is a right. It's not a privilege. People who work need to be appreciated, to be promoted. If people are owed, they must be paid. The vice chancellor cannot just say he doesn't have money. You must go to the people who employ him and tell him that the university is owing some people. That's the business of vice chancellor. People who cannot do that should not be vice chancellor. So these are all things. So we have this. We also have a pension company. So that our people run the pension company. All the Shiloh pension companies all over the place. We have our own pension organization. So ask your branch. They will tell you how to register. And interests are paid, shares are remunerated, and so on. Fully. So if you are in some other pension company, go and join ASUU pension company. We call it Nupenco. Nigerian University's pension company. Go and join it. And of course, the word now about collective bargaining. Only our union insists that we want to negotiate our conditions of service with our employers. Only ASUU. Of course, other unions in the university, because when we start raising questions, they also then say they want to negotiate. But our union is the only one that insists that we want to negotiate with our employers. And all other unions should also try to emulate that, because it is strengthening all the unions, it is strengthening the university system. Our union is the only one that insists that governments must fund universities. Many people ask us what concerns us as long as they pay our salaries. If they don't fund the universities, there will be no justification for paying our salaries anymore. If they fund the universities, our productivity will be better. The condition of our students will be better. And all of that. So we will be able to make demands for our own better conditions of service. So we are in a class struggle, working class, as opposed to the ruling class. We also need to understand that, although we know many of us join them as time goes on, but some of us insist that we will stay with the working class. We will join them. But the main task of trade unions is to improve the condition of its members. But as I said, if where you are working breaks down, you will have no job left. Part of our duty is also to defend our country, Nigeria. To defend our country. Because if our country scatters, there will be no universities. And there will be no jobs. So we must build a better country. We must struggle for our country. We must struggle for general justice in the world. That is the business of the and that is why it's only lecturers that are international employees. Only academics can go anywhere in the world and say, I want to work here. So we have a commitment to justice in the world. I can go to Ghana and say, these are my papers. I want to be senior lecturer or professor in biology. I will give it to them. They will look at it and say, okay, yeah, you are fit. I can go to UK. I can go to South Africa. Many of our people are in South Africa. Tony Abegun here is in Lesotho now. As a professor, I think engineering. Tony Abegun of this place. You know? The lecturer job is an international job. So when we say we want better pay, we are serious. We are not like policemen and legislators or permanent secretaries. The permanent secretary cannot leave Oyo State and go to Ghana and say he wants to be permanent secretary. Okay, so ASUU is a trade union and a trade union of intellectuals. We are not just a trade union of intellectuals. And we have principles that are encoded in our documents. All members of our union must have a constitution of the union. I think the last edition was 2012 or so. 2018. Yes. Every member, chairman, all our members must have a copy of the constitution, so that they can read it. They can see all the tasks that we have to undertake in that document. That constitution also has what we call ethics and codes of practice. Ethics and codes of practice. There are things a lecturer must not do, and there are things a lecturer must always do. Okay? So that everybody knows where we are. If I did this thing about defending the university system, one of the issues is that we have raised in negotiations has been the issue of the autonomy of the universities. This is one thing that is usually so thoroughly misunderstood or misinterpreted. Autonomy that we are talking about is not about lawlessness of the universities. It's that universities must be allowed to operate on the basis of the laws that establish them. So some governor cannot just come and do what he likes in the university, or some head of state, or a visitor. No, people must understand. People who don't understand this have no business being lecturers. The tradition that produced the Nigerian academy today is the tradition that defends autonomy of the university system. And today, the violation of this autonomy is all over the place, including from abroad. The people who want to control how we think are also doing all sorts of things to decide what happen and don't happen in our universities. I wrote a long essay about 3 years ago on what they call the core curriculum minimum standard something. I don't know what is happening here, but many of our universities are buckled under with that thing. They are implementing prescriptions that are demobilizing our Senate. People like Okebukola sit down in Abuja, in NUC. They go to Egypt, they go to Europe to go and be coached by Europeans. They come to Nigeria and they say they want to do new curriculum for universities. They write this new curriculum. They are even writing books that we are going to be reading in the universities. I don't know whether you know that. They are writing the books that our students. Once a university gets to that point, everybody should just go home. Really, because you don't have Senate. That's what it means. Academic program is the exclusive preserve of the university senate. Even councils have nothing to do with it. Governor has nothing to do with it. Okay, but NUC has nothing to do with it. But let me tell you, I'm telling you, this is not even here. It's not a Nigerian invention. People are deciding what we are going to be teaching our children. including entrepreneurship. Almost every university now has a building called entrepreneurship. And people, lecturers are teaching entrepreneurship. Lecturers that have no enterprise, they are teaching entrepreneurship. But it's more serious than that. It's more serious than that. You see, they have decided that they want to privatize Nigeria. Okay? And that our children should not ask them for jobs. You know? Go and do entrepreneurship. So everybody then carry 3 pop-ups and go and stand by the roadside. Virtually all our children. Now that is a very serious danger that we face. A fundamental crisis is on ground, and we need to look at these things very, very closely. I was talking about ethics and grievances and so on, and codes of conduct. And she is very rigorous about it. We prescribe how to relate to our students, how to relate to our colleagues, how to relate to the university. We must protect the university. We are not fighting the university. We are protecting it. And we have sanctions for any violation of these codes of conduct. And it includes fines. Members can be fined if it's found guilty of flouting our ethics and codes of conduct. Members can be suspended. In fact, we have suspended a former president of ASUU because he misbehaved. Okay? And we can expel a member. We can expel members. It's part of the powers of the organization. But it's a democratic organization. An academic cannot be anything but democratic. Because the condition for intellectual progress, for finding out new things, for bringing about new ideas, is about the right of everybody to look for information, look for knowledge, and disseminate that knowledge. And that is why we don't stop our students when they tell us that, teacher, I think you are wrong about that thing. We shouldn't look down on them. We should encourage them. Because after all, many of the things we tell them, we read it in books. It's not as if we brought it from heaven. And there are many books that have become useless because new ideas have been found. So, we are in a business that is also democratic. The chairman is not the boss of the union. Comrade Dada here is not the boss, it's not our organ. We elected him, we can remove him. Okay? If we have any complaints, we can tell him, we can print it out, and so on. But we should also do all of these things as intellectuals, responsibly. We find out things before we start publishing them so that we don't disgrace ourselves by spreading falsehood. That people will then say, oh, so this thing that you are saying is even false. So it's a very serious matter of discipline, academic I want to talk a little bit about strikes. Nobody can stop strikes. Nobody. Tell anybody that they cannot stop strikes. Why? Because ASUU doesn't go on strike frivolously. There's no strike that we embark on where we have not written like 11 letters or more to government, to university authorities, and so on and so forth. We negotiate with them. This is what we think. What do you think? This is the best way to run the university system, and so on and so forth. So strikes are forced on ASUU. They force us to go on strikes. That's the truth of the matter. If we don't go on strikes, you won't have this building. This building that we are sitting inside, ETF, the strike that brought it. Most of those buildings that you see with ETF on it, it's like that. When I was in Bauchi in 1982, I was a visiting professor there. My salary was 900 naira. But we have struggled to gradually negotiate and increase, because if we are comfortable, we will be able to face our work. We won't cheat our students. We won't ask students to go and buy shoes for us or tire for us. We are well paid. Although that is not to say that just because you are not well paid, you should have your students to go and buy shoes. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that every situation we can is the result of other situations. So we can prevent certain abuses if we are better paid, if we are better remunerated. And so let me just go through quickly this thing about the principles of ASUU. One, all ASUU members, as I said, must have working class consciousness. We must demand just wages for the work that we do, appropriate salaries for the work that we do. We must insist on the equality of the employer and us employees. The government does not own university. It's Nigerian people that own university. When Makinde finishes, he will go and do something else with his life. Just like Adimobi or whatever. When Tinubu goes, he will go back to his friends and all of that. The Nigerian people own the universities. It doesn't belong to government. So when people say he will pay the piper, the government is not our employee. Many people don't know this. The government is not our employer. The council of the university is our employer. Although they appoint them and all of that. But you know, it's not only government that appoints members of university council. Senate elects members of university council, purely senior academics. The congregation, everybody who is a worker in a university and has a degree is a member of the congregation. The congregation elects members to council. Actually, in most of the councils, internal members predominate. So the council does not belong to Makinde or Adimobi or Olapo Isola or somebody. The council does not belong to them. It's a tripartite organization. and their major business is ways and means. It's not about academic or what people should teach or not teach. Okay, and as I said, our union is the only one that insists on periodic negotiations. We must also build working class solidarity. Working class solidarity. So lecturers are not on their own, national people on their own, the technologies on their own, and so on. We must build solidarity among them. Even unions that are not in the university, as I said, we need to build solidarity with them. Because when we are together, when working people are together, we are stronger. We are stronger. What concerns nurses must concern us. What concerns doctors must concern us. What concerns local government employees must concern us, and all of that. Because that is the level at which we mobilize together to stop things like fuel subsidy removal or VAT that they impose on our people, or school fees that they impose on our children. Another principle is dedication and commitment to a better, more just Nigerian society. This is a very important principle of our union. I think I already raised that question. Another principle is dedicated scientific and consistent search for and dissemination of knowledge on everything under the sun. In other words, and that's the point about community service, where we live. You know? So our business is not just to the university. As an intellectual, you are living in a village, in one Adubo, in Ogbomoso, or in Ibadan, you must be interested in the conditions of the people there, so that we can have a better society. That is one of the key principles of our union, and that's why we defend Nigerian working people. That is why we defend our students. That is why we defend people in other countries who are suffering like us. And we should be scientific, which means we look for evidence for anything that we want to do. We see a problem. We formulate hypotheses on how to solve those problems. How do we solve these problems? 1, 2, 3, 4. We then test each of these hypotheses, which is the most correct one. So the scientific method is ASUU's method. You know, we subscribe to it, and then when we reach a conclusion, we disseminate that conclusion without thinking that that will be the truth forever. Where we land is what evidence we have for now. So we should be looking for other evidence to overthrow the theory on ground. And that is what we mean by scientific. So we just don't sit down in a place and say whatever. I talked about localism and universalism of the university system. I need to emphasize this. When I hear people in universities, I'll finish. When I hear people in universities like Lautech here, talking of Lautech as if the university belongs to Ogbomoso local government. have the way you feel about LAUTECH, you have no business being a lecturer. I mean, you want to vote for people to go to Senate, congregation to Senate, to council. You want to vote only on so much of people. You are not a lecturer. Anybody who does that is not a lecturer. It's not an academic. Universities were universities. Indians, people came from India, Pakistan, Singapore, UK, US, to come and teach us in Nigeria. In a university, there are Igbos here. There are Igbo speaking people here. There are Hausa people here. Our children, our students are from all over this place. People sit down there. Localism is an enemy of the university system. And people should speak out about these things. Speak out about these things. We won't have university. Before, it was Osun and Oyo. This university or your people or some people. So you have two governments, both of them the same party. They can't run a university because people are always quarreling about where people come from. That is not a university. That's a local government place where people are getting contracts. So really, please read it's a fairly long paper, so please read it. Especially the point where we raise the question of the commitment of the intellectual. An intellectual is a citizen of the world. It's not just some member of a local government, or a Yoruba man, or an Igbo person, or Kanuri. No. An intellectual is a citizen of the world. When he stands up, and talks, people take him seriously because he can defend what he's saying 100 years from now. If he's called again, he's going to say the same thing. Because truth does not change because time is changing. And truth does not change because only a few people are saying it. So, there is a whole lot of literature in this, and I conclude the lecture with a dedication. And this dedication is people who have served our union, who have served our country, who have served humanity, irrespective of where they come from across our country. And they are not just lecturers or academics. Many of them are just good people who sit down and write a lot of things that enlighten us. Some of them are academics. Some of them are young people who are our students, who defended us. When the Babangida people were chasing us all over the place, putting us in prison, our students defended us. We could rely on them. Babangida could not step on our campus in Ife throughout the 9 years that he was there. He dared not.
Applause the louder, please. Once more louder. Thank you. We're waiting for Baba to ask the audience to sit down, and I take it that. Thank you. You would agree with me that though we have been teachers for a while, many of us do not understand a lot of the principles of ASUU. I picked that academic freedom has been misinterpreted by people, largely, including many of our very senior colleagues, and most especially many of our younger colleagues. In fact, I know some of the youngsters who have believed that academic freedom means that they can come to work only when they have lectures, and they may not come at all without even telling their head of department or taking permission from anybody. You will just call them to attend one or two administrative assignments and they will tell you, Oga, I'm in UI. Who did you tell? Academic freedom. So that is what it is. So thank you for that beautiful insight into all of this, which will help us a lot. Now, we are to entertain questions for this session, then before we go to the next session. And I do know some of us have questions to ask Baba. I would appreciate that we make the questions to come at once, then he responds to all of them at once. Maybe we entertain just 2 questions. One from Nawat, and the other from the Meko. I understand there are only 2 staff in the university, the ladies and the others, just 2. So I want to start from the ladies. If we have any of them who wants to ask us or ask about any question. Yes, ma'am. You might want to approach the mic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I stand on the existing protocol. I'm Comrade Aniola Eyike from the Department of Biochemistry. That I can tell you that. You know, when I was in the university, I always liked the lives of ASUU. And it was one of the reasons I joined academics. But sir, I want to say respectfully, sir, that it is not as it used to be anymore. It is no more as, because I was listening to the things you were saying, and I and my colleagues were laughing and saying, things have changed. And I will tell you, sir, a lot has to do with the leadership. There's a saying, a legal message that says that he that comes with equity must come with clean hands. I want to tell you, sir, that these days I happen incidentally am the immediate past vice chairperson of this chapter. And I want to tell you, sir, that a lot of things have gone wrong. I want to ask, sir, how can we bring it home to the leaders? Let our leaders know that before they can lead, because what you don't have, you cannot give. Before you can lead people correctly, you must be correct to some extent. Integrity is very important. Many of us these days, it's about what we eat. And it disturbs me personally as a person. When people do money, a professor about 9,000 naira, assistant lecturers on a month, you keep your money. It is not your personal money as a leader. Accountability is important. Let's please, sir, talk to our leaders to be more disciplined. We need it a lot, sir. A lot of favoritism. You gather yourself because this one is your friend, that one is your friend, is doing maybe, you give him this money, somebody is doing this, or you won't give them anything. We have this demon among us. I just want you to please, if there will be a way of organizing for our leaders, it is beyond money. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Yes. Very good additional comments. However, I must insist that this session is for question and answer. chance, we should set our question to be questions. Thank you. Question? Welcome.
Yes. Good afternoon, sirs. Good afternoon, my senior colleagues and my colleagues. My own is not a question, but I want to explain some things on university, localism, and universalism. I happen to be the leader of Oyo State Forum. When the struggle between Oyo State and Osun State was very hot, the objectives of Oyo State Forum at that time was that since Oyo State and Osun State government were paying our salaries 6 months, whenever to the turn of Osun State government, they would delay. I happened to be one of the ASUU to Osun State government sometime. And the deputy governor, who happened to be standing for the government of that day, was chairing the meeting. I made them to realize the fact that the struggle was not between individuals, because now tech is a universal university. There's an institution whereby the state government will be funding regularly LAUTECH to grow. Meanwhile, Osun State government will be efficient. That was the essence of the struggle. And since LAUTECH has become Oyo State funded university, we have not been experiencing that efficiency from any angle. It should not be segmented to only one zone. We have 5 zones in Oyo State. So for this reason, that's what I want to emphasize, that universality of LAUTECH CUS is an international institution. It's not a local institution. Thank you for your
Questions should be sent to the platform. We would have first send to Baba. The answers will also be represented to us on the platform. I quickly invite Professor Kojuaki Oju to join his voice to that of Baba in a short while before Baba laps for that meeting.
Standing on the existing protocols and going beyond to say that I'm happy to be back home. LAUTECH is home. We are feel comfortable. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, yes. We are my organs in the department anytime. Professor Agbaje also. So I'm really delighted to be here. I will only raise one issue or address one issue because old people talk too much and the young people are afraid to even give them notes. I don't want to go. The point I want to make is first of all to appreciate the union for organizing this event. One major default that we have is that we are not talking enough, we are not debating enough. I've been in universities when I was elected for 6 years. There was no single lecture, no symposium, nothing. And you may be brilliant. I mean, academics, if you got a job as an academic, you are brilliant. But you don't necessarily know everything. That's number one. So we need to organize this type of events very frequently. If I would advise the national body of ASUU, because it is no longer our culture. When we were in the university, there's almost not a single weekend when you don't have one person, either a lecturer or somebody from outside, coming to say something. Coming to the university to say something. And that generates ideas. That also ensures accountability. That means that you can take it. It's the universities that generate ideas for government. If the universities keep quiet like we are doing, government will do whatever it wants. If Professor Kalilu goes to Ibadan and says, I want money to be able to cut grass around my area, they say, there's no money now. We can come back here and do a symposium and say, we learned that we are going to use 63 billion to renovate government house. So let us talk about it and prioritize what are the needs of Nigerians. So we need to organize debates, we need to organize lectures frequently. Then our students, in most universities these days, students don't have lectures. Nothing. They have fellowships and things like that. So the only voices in town is the voice of government. We as intellectuals are not fulfilling our responsibility of talking, of debating, of interrogating. And that is my one and only appeal that I have. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now I call one of the most cited scholars in Lautech and of course in Nigeria academic ranking, Professor Bello, to the word.
I want to adopt the existing protocol. Because standing on the protocol, if you stand on the protocol for too long, you break. So let me adopt the existing protocol. And I want to appreciate members of the table. I will leave my position to the end of the lecture to be able to save some time. I know our time is fast spent, and I will be brief in my presentation. So please permit me to reserve my appreciation and acknowledgement to the end of the lecture. I'll be speaking briefly on career advancement, navigating resources, and pathways for scholarly growth. I will just do a little definition, and after the definition, I will look at some tips that can help us, because these are tested tips. I have tested them and led me to this extent. And my academic fathers who are here, they will have tested also. And I'm sure that they are found to be true. I want to start by a definition. What is a career? I will start by defining a career. A career is defined as a sequence and a combination of work-related roles people occupy across their lifetime. I look at three keywords here. It's a sequence. Before you please the first slide. A sequence has to do with something that follows orderly. After the first one, the second one follows. After the second one, the third one. So career is a sequence. You start from somewhere and you are going to a higher status. You look at chart just in front of that. You can see starting from C and you're going to R. That C is small letter C and the other R is capital letter R. So when you start as a lecturer, you move on until you get to the peak, that is being a professor. So career is a sequence, that's number one. And secondly, I will talk that it's a combination of work-related roles. There are roles that you have to play before you get to where you are going. And those are the things you want to look at. What are the things to do to be able to get to where we are going? For new layers now, there are things to do. And these are things that we have come to discuss. And this is not what you do for a while, it's for a lifetime. And that's why I say career has to be a sequence, combination of roles. And these roles, they are not just for a little time, it is for our entire lifespan. Like my Baba said, Baba Olorumi has been a lecturer, probably I was not even born then. And when you see him now, he's still performing. So thank you, Baba, for all that everything. I really appreciate it. Because I've also been there and you have taken it as a lifestyle. And I appreciate you. When we see you, we are happy that we are people that we want to. Now, I move on. Career advancement refers to process of progressing and developing your professional career by taking on more responsibilities. This movement from a very small pedestal to a higher one comes with a lot of responsibilities. And these responsibilities, I would say that they are in the form of acquiring new degrees or skills. There is no way you will start from the base and you will not acquire degrees to be able to get to the top. Because there are responsibilities, there are roles, there are challenges along the way. So you have to come to that understanding that you must acquire the skills, not only that relevant degrees and professional development to be able to get to where you are going. And that will help you to be able to develop scholarly. And also there potentially moving the higher position within the university. You can employ a new staff today and maybe this staff and make it. There must be some things that the person has to go through. There are things that the person must have understood. There are things that the person must have learned. And that's the reason why we call it a career. It's a lifelong affair. I want to quickly submit about 12 tips that we need to look into. And I want us to pay particular attention to this because they have been tested and trusted. And I want to employ those who are new. Please embrace them in totality. It will go a long way to help us and to help us to get to the peak on time. The first one, because of dedication to duty. What is dedication to duty? Dedication to duty refers to the commitment, the loyalty, and the passion individual shows towards their work and responsibility. When you are employed as a new staff, always note that the very first thing that you should know is dedication to duty. And I look at that success equation just to the right. I see hard work, I see dedication, and I see consistency. And when you sum all this together, it equals success. So the very first thing I would love to charge you with, and I want to bring on board and submit, is dedication to duty. You be dedicated to your work. When you're supposed to have lectures, go for your lectures. Practicals, go for your practicals. Field work, go for your field work. Research work, be there. Dedication is very, very important. You should not be looked for. You should not be absent at your duty post. You should always be there right on time. Be there on time, and not only that, ensure that you be needful when duty calls for that. The second one, pursue higher degrees on time. Those who are newly employed, you need to understand that in the university setting, if you don't have a PhD, you are not there yet. And it's very important that you understand this early enough. You don't need to postpone it. You don't need to say, if I like. It's not if I like. As long as you find yourself in academics, it's very important that you pursue a higher degree as fast as possible. If you have gotten your master's, thank God for that. The other one is you should ensure that you put in all your effort and get your PhD on time. I know it's very challenging. That has been the way. But it is part of the learning process. The things you will learn during the process of acquiring that degree will go a long way to stabilize you and help you not only to be a strongly rooted lecturer, but also somebody that is an intellectual, as Baba already has said. Every lecturer in the university is an intellectual. And what makes an intellectual is that rigorous activity in the form of research. So it's very important that we do this as fast as possible. The third one, do research that results in article publication in good outlets. One of the things that the guidelines of our promotion talks about is the publication. If you look at the guideline, you observe that a larger percentage have been voted for publication. It means you cannot say, I'm not interested, or I don't know how to do it. You must learn how to get that done, and you must do it with every sense of seriousness. This includes researching the scope and audience of potential journalists. As you move on in your career, you discover that at each stage you need to get your publications to go. Aside the fact that you have spent the tenancy period 3 years, aside the fact that you are teaching and regulating your work, there is a need for you to publish papers in good outlet. And I'll tell you reasons why you have to do that. But when you publish a good outlet, you are safe. In those days, it was if you don't publish, you perish. But now, if you are not visible, you vanish. you are not visible, you do what? You vanish. So when you don't publish, it means you will not be visible. And when you're not visible, you are tending towards vanishing. So always know that a new slogan has come. Formerly, you don't publish, you perish. But now, if you are not visible, you do what? You vanish. Please let that be an object lesson. And let that be something that rings bell. I have to be visible. To be visible, I must do good research. To be visible, I must publish in a very good outlet. The fourth one, number 4, collaboration with like-minded researchers. You can't do it on alone. It is not a woman affair. It is not what you can do by yourself alone. There will be a need for you to look at people in your field, those whom you are like-minded with, that you can team up and work together. You see, if you want to work very far, you can just say, I want to work alone. You want to be fast in what you do, you need to employ the service of other colleagues within your field, whether in your school or not in your school. It is very important that you collaborate. Gone are the days when you do only one research and you are localized. Nowadays, they are looking for more two-dimensional approach to research. So that means you cannot just sit down in a place and say you are doing research. It is good you start here, but at the same time, you have to spread your tentacle and link up with people, those in your career, within your school, and even outside your school. This will help you a lot. Why? Because there are some things you have that those people there don't have. There are some things they have that you don't have. For you to be able to move forward, there must be a synergy between you and them. What you don't have, they have. What they don't have, you have. But now you bring it together, it makes the work faster and you'll be able to go to where you expected to be. So it's very important that you collaborate. I put here a powerful way to enhance research outcomes. It involves bringing together expertise and resources from multiple individuals or groups with shared research interests and goals. And I put there, if you take a look at what I put there, it involves trust, it involves support, assistance, sharing, and inspiration. These are things that we must note as we advance in our career. The fifth one, respect for seniors. I observed this when I came in. When the members in the IT group, when they were introduced, I can see that culture is still here. We respect our elders. Baba, no, we respect you. Thank you for that. And that culture of respect is still entrenched in the system. And I want to employ the younger ones, or those who are coming new. Please always respect those who are ahead of you. You can't phantom their wisdom, you can't phantom their experience. They have a lot that you can get from them. So when you respect them, you learn from them, and you get a lot from them. I put here, respect your seniors, a concept deeply ingrained in academic culture. Signifies acknowledging the wisdom and experience of yourself, along with giving them honor and consideration. When Baba was introduced, all of us stood up, it's a mark of respect and honor, because we know that you are there before us. And when we look at you, we have learned a lot from what you have done. So respecting your seniors is very important. Don't just say, I'm a lecturer, as a lecturer. Whatever I can do, I can do. It is not a place just to compete. It's a place to compliment one another. And the best way to compliment one another is to respect those who are ahead of you. Study promotion guidelines, that's number 6. The guidelines are available to everybody. When you are on a status, you know the next status you are going. Study it meticulously and carefully. Know what you are expected to have. Know what you are expected to do. If you know these things on time, you'll be able to work at it. And I love to say that once you get the promotion now, ensure that before the next 3 years, you start to work now. Don't wait until it is just a time to call for paper that you are looking for one thing or the other. At that time, it will be too late, and you will not be able to get what you are looking for. So start on time. A load for another set will be back immediately. If you are going somewhere very early tomorrow, don't wait until 5 a.m. before you start to pack your load. Pack now. So that immediately it is in the morning, you can pick it up and move. So it's very important that you prepare ahead of time. If I prepare before the time, a year before that time, get your things ready. Look at the promotion guideline carefully. If you don't understand, you can ask some senior colleagues. They will tell you what to do and you get yourself a lawyer. Don't wait until they are saying, please add my name in one paper and please help me here. Those ones will not make you an intellectual. To be an intellectual, you will be prepared to maximize every opportunity. Preparing on time is one of the things that is needful in navigating and having a scholarly growth. Number 7, start becoming early enough for the next leader. I think I spoke on this. I won't waste time. Let's go to number 8. Number 8, apply for fellowship, advanced research, and opportunities. I put to identify programs that align with your research interests and other goals. Honestly, I must say here that for you to be able to make impact, you must take this point very, very seriously. I know we have a lot of challenges, no light, no water, no facility. But there are places where you can go to and get your research done in the best possible way. Employ the best international practices in kind of research. So it's very important that you look at your field. What are the areas that relate to my field? What are the opportunities that I can learn from? Don't just be a local person. Thank God was talking. He said he can go to US and say, this is me. It is because he's a seasoned person. If you are seated in a place, you are localized in a particular place, and you want to have a global relevance, you are wasting your time. So please, young scholars, I want to advise, ensure you are applying for fellowships. There are a lot of them. I will not permit us to do that, but you can Google that in your field. You see a lot of fellowship, a lot of research centers where you can practice research, maybe at the doctoral level, at the postdoctoral level, and even advanced level. This is very important, and it's part of the thing that may ensure that you are going scholarly. The 9th one, apply for grants. Grants is very important. There is no fund for research that is available in our country. But I want to tell you that there are funds in other grants. When you apply for grants, and I put a grant, this gives you the opportunity to address a need identified by both you and the funder as a community concern. And I encourage you to grant provide your research and for you to create a new funding stream that does not need to be paid. Now, when you apply for grants, I know it's very competitive, but for the mere fact that you applied once and you didn't get it, that is not the end of the road. You keep on applying. I was sharing with someone, I said, I applied for something about 4 or 5 times. The first time, Olule. The second one, it didn't work. The third time, it didn't work. But you see, winners never quit, and quitters never win. I kept on applying, and at the fourth time, I was able to hit the jackpot. So I want to charge you. If you apply once and you are denied, keep on applying. The time will come, you will be able to meet up with their criteria and eventually be able to get a grant and the fund for research. And I want to say this. Let me please project the next slide. I want to show you something in the next slide. Move on. This is a trust grant for those in sciences. I know most people are beneficiaries of trust. But I want to say this on this particular slide. Now this grant is a grant that is awarded to you to purchase research equipment. We don't have equipment here. But when you apply for such grant and you are fortunate to begin, you get the equipment. I was able to apply for this in 2020, and the sum of $10,000 was awarded for the purchase of research equipment. Not for Uwambe, not for rice, not for party. It's for the purchase of research equipment. And that particular singular research grant has helped me over the years be able to develop myself research grant and even train students. So please, if all of us do this, I know we will have a lot of grants coming in. And this grant will help us to develop ourselves research-wise. And not only that, it will equally help us to be able to train our students. Applying for grants is very important. And I want to advise those who are coming up, since you have people ahead of you, link up with them, interact with them, and see what you can do, especially applying for grants. The next slide. Okay, that is the sum of $10,000 awarded in 2020. I applied for a review at the following year. I was told that there was positive fund. Because of that, I was denied. I reapplied again, and that reapplication brought in another $11,000 to be able to buy research equipment. And not only that, in addition to that, they gave me money for conference attendance. To the next guy. The next one down. Okay, that is the second one. That was in 2015. Then, if you look at the one down, you will see three different things shown there. The first one has to do with international conference attendance. And not only that, we are equally benefited from publication in the open access journal. So these are things that when we apply for NAU, it will help us to be able to have good fund to be able to fund our research. And not only that, it will help us to grow our career. Apply for awards. When you have done something very significant or very substantial, please try your popularity with other people. Apply for awards. If you apply, you are not giving, it is just a way to it. It is not because you are not good. It is because it has not been your favor at that particular time. But you already apply. When you apply for awards, what are the things that you need to look for? Apply for prestigious and competitive award. Start by identifying relevant opportunities. Understand their specific criteria and tailor your application to suit your unique strength and achievement. I want to display this. Please, the next slide. Let me show you this. Now, if you take a look at this was in 2020 in Abuja. I applied for the Indian Academy of Science Gold Medal Award. It's an award that was awarded between physical sciences and life sciences. If it goes to physical sciences this year, it goes to life sciences the following year. So I applied one to the physical sciences. It was a keenly competitive award. And when to God be the glory, I was able to get the award. And that gave me a drive to continue to do more. So when you do something and it works, it will give you a drive and you can just do more. And I want to tell you, I was given a box. I won't mention the amount. That was my personal use. I was given an award and I was given a good medal. But the box is for me anyway. So if you apply, you will probably get something bigger than the one I got. So let me just solve it that way. Then the last one, okay, still the next one. This was another one, the Academy of Science, AU2 I was given $5,000 for this. That's for a personal consumption. And this was the certificate given to me during the 2019 edition, which was done in 2020 because of COVID. Then the next one, because of that, okay, get a distinguished academic mentor. This is very important. As a young scientist, you need an academic mentor. Someone who is there already, someone who is already established. Link with the person, discuss with the person, and you discover that the person will bring you up. I put here, it is a flexible approach that can be very depending on the needs of the mentee and the skills of the coach or the mentor. Mentoring is very important. People are coming in newly, please have a mentor. And you want to be a mentee, be ready to abide by the rules of the game. There are things your mentor will have to do. If you don't do it, the mentor will destroy you. And there are things that the mentee are looking for. Mentors who are seated, please be available to them. It's a dual approach. As the mentor is willing to help the mentee must be willing to go by the dictates of the mentor. So that together they can build a formidable career. And the 12th one, desist from unwholesome practices. If you look at the display there, you will see someone standing in a compromised manner. And I want to say this, that academic malpractice is any unwholesome practice that is perpetrated on academic matters, which is at variance with academic norms and values. Academics, we have norms and we have values. Desist from any attitude, any action, any behavior that goes against the norms and the values of academics. Any academic matter that is done without following due process and also violate lay down rules and regulations constitute an academic practice. This is one of them. A lecturer standing in a compromised manner with a female student. Or either with a co-lecturer or with a female student, this is prohibited. This should not be heard of an intellectual. The next one, people give bribe. Please move to the next slide. You can see an entry of the brand to do wrongs. Now, students, they will do all manner of things to woo you. Please ensure that you desist from such attitude, bribery. taking money for maths, offering you sex for math. These are not the traits of intellectuals. Intellectuals are known for integrity, they are known for soundness in what to do. If you look at the lecture there, you can't even say whether it is fact or fake. Some people are misrepresented. You don't know where you belong. Are you standing for integrity or you combine your integrity? Let's know where you belong. If you have a fact, let's know you have a fact. If you have a fake, let's know you are fake. Don't be fact and fake at the same time. That is what most people do. They are neither here and they are not there. You don't know where to categorize it. In case you are fake, please turn from fake and become a fact. As I conclude, Nigerianism is very important. Also, we need to look into this. Thank God for internet. Internet gave us opportunity to access a lot of resources. And instead of using this thing maximally for our growth, people use internet in the wrong way. And now they just copy and paste. And we have software now that we try to x-ray what you have got and see how far you have gone. See, because of this plagiarism, some people have been sacked, some people have been demoted, some people have been dismissed. So please, upcoming young ones, I want you to please desist from this copy and paste approach. Learn how to use your reason to do quality work. And the last one, I want to say that you have to pray. You can't live in Nigeria and not pray. You can't live in Ubomosho and not pray. You can't live in Lagos and not pray. So please, always pray. Prayer is the boldness, born out of confidence in God's faithfulness. Either you pray the Christian way, the Muslim way, the traditional way. Just ensure that you commit your grace to God. I want to go to conclusion, and I conclude with these three key words. Your career is a journey and not a destination. It is not, I am gotten there. If Baba already there is above 80, he still advances. That shows that it's a journey, it's not a destination. If there was a destination, they would have stopped. But now they've seen it beyond a destination. It's a journey. So you are welcome to a journey, and this journey is not a destination. Secondly, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. You have to start somewhere and gradually advance to get to where we go. The last one, the key to success is to love what you do and do what you love. Always love what you are doing and do what you love. I want to acknowledge the following. I want to acknowledge God, the giver of wisdom. And not only that, I want to thank the university management, ASUU leadership, my academic mentors seated here. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts. Mentors, those who are my mentors, I appreciate them. Senior faculty members, I appreciate you. My colleagues, I appreciate all of you. Likewise, I want to thank my collaborators at home and abroad, my research students, I appreciate them past and present, distinguished audience, all other participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bello, for that very exciting presentation. Can we appreciate you more? Will the appreciation be louder? And can we have the loudest one for Usita? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please come and sit down. Now the lecture goes on. The lecture goes on. Well, Mr. Bello committed himself while he adopted the existing protocol. And of course, he has revealed how very financially robust he is as an academic. He wasn't aware that existing protocol he adopted is the name of the child that was taken to a motherless baby school. So he has adopted that child. Maybe motherless baby room has asked him to come and collect money for pampers for the child. So please stop the money. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite once again another intellectual juggernaut, one of the top 2% what scientists allowed is proud of.
Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues, our fathers of the ITV. It's particularly challenging for me to speak here today because Professor Akinyodu got me called and was assigned to me as a progress report. But we had to transfer maybe to Professor Zoki when he was moving to back to the University of Ibadan after finishing his sabbatical with us. Professor Omotoye Olorode, I mean, I motivated her from secondary school. When my brother would come home, he would tell me of a certain Olorode at the University of Ife. I never realized the day I used to come when we were asked to join him to discuss things pertaining to our great union. The DVC academics was one of those that mentored me in my career. It was one of those people that I published papers with in 2009. Even as a graduate assistant, Professor Okule had been a mentor and a teacher who have also covered this. And I have that distinction. When the chairman called me that I would present the lecture, I was asking myself questions. In actual fact, I told him that I would not be able to do so because I wouldn't know what qualified me to be called upon. Certainly I'm not the best among all of us here. Whatever I'm parading today, very many people here are part of the success stories. I have some of my students here who are my work bosses, who have also joined us in developing whatever we have produced. So I'm not the best among you, and I'm just an academic person trying to strive and maybe commit myself to what I'm being paid for. And I know that I'm also trying my best to be a good team player, working with the people across disciplines, across different issues. And of course, after my religion, the only organization that I belong to is ASUU, and I try to commit myself to the union. And maybe we can also give some things to our colleagues. Maybe yes, we succeed through this lecture. And of course, some people may say, or yes, that is what my enemy. We actually met before here. We met at the Tutorial College at Tiffany. And it was that time that brought us together here as the first set of students in this great university. Baba has done a lot of work looking at the back. Because what I will speak about is aligning all the aforementioned with our personal development and the institutional, achieving the institutional vision and vision. The university cannot achieve its lofty vision and vision without us. Whatever happens to the university is a totality of what we have put on the table. And so, we look at the past, we probe the present, so that we'll be able to forge ahead to the future. Our past didn't start from here. Some of us served as guinea pigs to test run this university, 436 of them. In 1990, and the university transited, can see a lot of development in the university. It was then Oyo State University of Technology, and that is now 35 years ago. And you can see our beginning. This degree speaks volume. This university was given by an Ijebuman, Colonel Sasai Adedeji, who was the military administrator. The very first chancellor of this university was an Egbaman, a world citizen, Pastor Emekebo Abiola. The highly cerebral Professor Deputy Aboyade from Awe, the former vice chancellor of the University of Ife, was the pro-chancellor.
and Professor Luke said, okay, a fellow of the Academy of Science was the permanent vice chancellor. Today, we only have a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Science in LAUTECH, and that is Professor Luke. You can see the trajectory of intellectualism and education. It has taken LAUTECH 35 years to produce a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Science. Whereas the founding vice chancellor, the pioneer vice chancellor, was evaded. So the journey is very long. It's a very long journey, and we should know that we are all partakers in the journey. The university started with just 4 faculties, with 436 students, and all of them ran a 5-year program. After the university, after Oyo State was split into Oyo and ASUU, the creation of ASUU State, it was named after the Premier of Western Region, Chief Samuel Adekunle Akintola. LAUTECH hosted had one humble beginning. When I was telling my students that the final studio there was our cafeteria, where we eat on subsidized meal. They never believed. When I told them that there were buses that we traverse various places where the university had hostels to come and take us to school, they never believed it. That was the humble beginning of our university. A time was in this university that if light is taken off in the next 5 minutes, you are sure that you are going to have electricity. Because we had a generator, Caterpillar, that powered the whole university. Do we have such now? Do we have such now? That of today, we have expanded. The ownership has changed. With Oyo State going to the university, we now have 2 campuses. The focus of the university has changed from non-technology-based science and technology-based courses to encompass other disciplines, transforming the university to professional university. And the number of faculties increasing from 4 now to 14. With 2 colleges, graduate school, FODM, part-time, more than 40,000 students. And today we have more than 200 professors in the university. In that, the beginning, I don't think LAUTECH had up to 10 resident professors that were members of the staff. I know that maybe in science, we had only 2. Professor Ayeni and Professor Daplafolani. Others came for leave and they left after that. But we have more than 200 professors. Where have we taken the university to? We have instead to accommodate our students who are accommodated in town on other regulated hosting. The university has been many awards by staff. As students, we now have research groups that are now being properly ranked. All of us know the mission of the universities are very good everywhere, and we know the vision. But the question we should ask ourselves, how far have we gone in achieving this innovative mission and vision? That is our duty. What are the things that can militate against realizing this lofty mission and vision that we set for ourselves? Nobody set the mission and vision for the university. It is we that will set those mission and vision for us. But what are the things that are likely going to threaten the realization of that? What is the condition of our learning facilities? Physical infrastructure, research infrastructure, what of parochialism that you are promoting the university system? Are we be able to deploy technology very well? We still have challenges of handling student results. We have so many challenges like that. Have we been able to track the impact of our university on the society? To evaluate what we have been able to achieve in the last 35 years? Are we setting goals for the next 5 years? For the next 10 years? Are we disrupting path to progress? Somebody has done this. This is my time. I want to go over that list. Are we building systems? Are we building institutions? Do we promote open discussion without retribution? How do we commit to research funding? Since I joined this university, Senate research grant for us applied to us. Since 1998 that I joined. Give people 500,000. Give them 1 million. You will see what they will be able to do. You are already giving their career. When you apply, Professor Bello will be having this, and many of us, when you apply for something, and you tell them that I've won Senate research grants, in fact, that is highly prestigious, because they know that heads in that university have vetted what you have submitted. They know you through, and they have given you 500,000. Using to do this. If you apply for something else somewhere, you already have it leverage. This is the way to assist ourselves to move forward. In those last 5 years, has LAUTECH gotten any patents, any process, any products in the society that we are saying this is LAUTECH products? Do we have any? Do we have any? Maybe LAUTECH products. Strategic plan. Nothing like that. Some of you don't like because you are not part of it. So, do we have any strategic plan in place? I've mentioned that. This is the organogram. You can go and look at it. This is very, very important for us. Especially those of us that are coming in. This organogram is also the channel of communication. Don't think because you know Professor Harlow, you will bypass your duty and you take your papers to go and read it. He can do it for you. You are only destroying yourself and you are destroying the system. Because a time will come and somebody will ask, who approved it? And we told you, say, we check the file, we didn't see anything. The thing that the faculty says, we check the file, we didn't see anything. You will not be maybe Professor Laro has left. I know you don't do that, but I'm using it as an example. Make sure it's not about whether somebody likes your face or not. Let Professor has always said that. We are in this system not about somebody likes their face. No, we are not here to be liking each other's face, their faces. You are here to do your work. I have to pass my paper through you, you pass through that person. If the person sits on it, it's a trouble. You push the issue forward. So please let us abide with this. Let us know, I said it earlier, the functionality of any system is dependent on the efficiency of the organogram. Also, we put it back even to the university management. Are you also observing this organogram? If a vice chancellor now receives a letter from an officer, from a staff of the department, which was not written through the you also destroy the system. So it's a double-edged sword between those of us on this side and those of us at the high-rise building. Let us make sure that we engage ourselves constructively. Things that are supposed to be done. You see, the way the university is structured, we shouldn't have any problem at all. Because it is based on committee system. It is based on discussion. It is based on reaching consensus. It is based on
superior argument in such a way that at the end of the day, we are going to arrive at the end of the day as our decision will be for the growth and development of the system and everybody. But when it becomes, I am the only one that will do it, then there will be a problem. Because we will make mistakes. So we should allow statutory organs of the university to function. Babalo already mentioned something. And some of us, we said it at the floor of Senate, 6 months. You are taking away the functions of Senate. Pàlẹ́ kìíní, pàlẹ́ kejì, tó ní ọba fọ́, àbàbà wa wí kìíní, alábùkù ní ọmọ. You are taking the functions of the Senate away. And you have this in all manners. Let me just move on. I gave an example here, and I want to say this. Mr. Vice Chancellor, the appointment of a professor of a head of department in university is well defined. If it's a professor, it should be 3 years. If it's a non-professor, it should be 1 year and a year. But we have some of our colleagues holding letters as a professor being appointed for 1 year. That letter is damaging the integrity of that profession. You dare not present that kind of letter in another university. It speaks volume. You are not trustworthy. You are not competent. They only dash you. Do not deserve it. Please, we have to look at some of these things. The Committee of Commons and Things is also a statutory committee under the university law. And it should be an organ that should be able to regulate itself. But having a deputy vice chancellor, chairman it means that Committee of Commons and Things is an extension of the office of the vice chancellor. And it's not supposed to be. Let us look at this scenario. Suppose that committee now decided this. And the agreed person goes to court. The university is going to close out. What they will tell you, what is the composition of the committee? What is saying is, go and check it. Where is it? Go and check it. Is the person supposed to be there? Let them know the chairman. We say that you didn't follow the process. And that's all. There are so many stakeholders, these stakeholders. My topic is to cover these stakeholders. Many of them have mentioned that the visitor and all of that. There are so many. But I highlighted some. Those ones that are partaking, they are disturbing the system, visitors. In deep interference. Government councils. We knew what happened at Soleil. It took the effort, solid effort of the University Senate at Soleil to rescue the university from the claws of the government council and its chairman. Me, I'm not like Babolo to mention the but you know the person I'm talking about. The regulatory bodies. NUC, ICANN, whatever, all of them are sorting us. Telling you that you have to achieve this. Of course, the host community. We all know what is happening in the Nigerian university system now. In Ibadan, in Ife, in Kano, in UNM, it is from our Nigerian. With a lot of bruises, a lot of assaults on the university. And of course the unions. Because the union most often will tell them, this is not the way to go about it. This is the right situation that with industrial crisis. We won't have harmony. And once there is industrial crisis, they look for scapegoats. And they distort the university. You can see our university. Just type Nigerian university system in Google. The kind of news that you see. See that one vice chancellor has been removed. The other has been So, you can see all of them. And some of these issues have been mentioned by Professor Lord. Not go through some of them. But these are our own Nigerian newspapers. And this is what we sell to the world. That's a video. This is the work of our university. The visiting rates are becoming an anathema that you will go to think twice before you submit your application to become a vice chancellor. Everywhere, you have somebody whose professorship is valid 2 years become a vice chancellor. Even there was one university. Next is university. You do sabbatical somewhere. He said he was appointed a professor. Now he wanted that professorship when he came back. And he was to become a vice chancellor. What kind of academic integrity is that? What kind of institution are we living? I love that. So, and with all these problems, we are already becoming a bigger species. Because we are caught in the crossfire. Arbitrariness. Either headed crisis from admission to non-funding to sacking of lecturers. Nigeria's universities has the largest turnover of vice chancellors in the world. You yourself can count it in the space of 35 years. Ordinarily, you have more than how many vice chancellors? 7. How many have you got it? The preponderance of the anti-vice chancellor and the substantive. What don't we get that? And when you have that, there will be stability. And the university will be at a loss towards achieving its stated ambition and vision. Even the Minister of Education recently said that there must be a stop to the proliferation of universities in Nigeria. But after he mentioned this, the same government licensed and established public universities. Now, in the past, to measure the impact of the university was difficult because of the extent of communication platform that were available then. But today, with the advent of internet, somebody can look at what is the impact of outtake without knowing the longitude and latitude of outtake. He can get all the information all over the place. So the way people view us now is to look at our impact. And there are so many metrics now, ranking, cancer education, QS. The QS came out last week. Only 3 Nigerian universities were there. All over the world. Lautech has never been ranked in QS. For the times higher education, there are 2 rankings. The World University ranking. For this year, 36 universities were ranked in Nigeria. Lautech number 16. We were 11th in 2 previous years. 2023, 2024. 2025, we are 16. What will be our fate in 2026? The other one is University Impact Ranking, which looks at what you do in tandem with SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, which our leaders at the level of the United Nations have committed themselves towards addressing issues that affect mankind and the environment. Lautech this year are ranked 24th out of 86 universities. We were ranked 11th last year. We are now 24. What will happen in 2026? The message is that we have to do what? For us as individuals, I'm very happy my brother mentioned this. That's the second leg of my lecture. What are the things that we should avoid as academics? You can see all of them. He has mentioned them. I don't need to deliver myself about that. Like a giant goes right. Don't be weakling. He said, let us know where you belong. Don't be a stooge. Don't be a tool in the hands of people. And the abuse of AI, I think he mentioned something about the plagiarism. It's supposed to be an advantage. Don't turn it to a disadvantage. Because you may never tell. Maybe it is when you become a professor that somebody will now say one of the papers that you used to become professor of PhD thesis, it was copied somewhere. The software will not be available to detect it. It will surely be available to know. You have to maintain critical visibility, also mentioned it. But I want to lay emphasis on this. The business that we do now is that we must take your product to the market. Let people see what you are doing. Have your work CIT. That is also researcher and contributor IT. You have to use scholar. The one that I start as scopus, you don't create scopus on your own. It will be created by the organization. But that depends on if you have published a platform that have been indexed by people. So it's a pointer to the quality of research. And when you see an average scholar like me now, you see that, look at my scopus, you only find a lot. Just a little bit about half of what I've published. That is what is acceptable at the international level and our original contributions. So when you want to start now, some of you that you are postgraduate students, when your guy says you should do this, you should do this, wàhálà rẹ ti pọ̀ jù. Kò fẹ́ kí sẹ́ẹ̀ ló wọgbó ni. Iṣẹ́ táwa sí tó wọgbó pọ̀. My master thesis ended at the University of Ibadan. Nobody has started any of the articles because the donors are not what visible. But that was what was available to us then. You don't have an excuse now. So if you do what the work and you publish it in outlets that is not visible, you are only doing a disservice to yourself. You have a big research rate, Twitter. I don't have a project for Twitter, so I don't have a Twitter account. Website, you can have a your website, you can have a site group, you can have a YouTube channel. Then it's also cultivating the habits of making your contributions known to people in the language that you understand. This one has earned good money. Good money. The work I've done on the Polanos, when I did it first, I published 60 papers, I turned it into a review article, summarizing all I've done. From that research article, I posted it on Facebook. The journalist saw it. He said I should develop 1,000 word dissertation, simplifying everything. I went to their platform project, and all of that. I did that, it was published. That was what the General Shimadu saw in Lagos. In the 21-year-old man as he funded the conference of the Lagos last year. It was that commentary that he saw. A week later, welcome museum. That about 500,000 visitors visit in a year. Said they are doing the one of the documentary on the land as one of the materials in their museum. And he said, when they look at the internet, the only thing they can find, apart from the economics of the land, cultivation of the land, is the dance documentary. And they engaged me as a consultant to do a 5-minute transcript. Less than 500 words on all that you have done on Google. And they showcased my work in their museum in 6 months. I wasn't there, but one of my PhD students was in London. It was a fellowship. That is the link I don't know when I said. He was able to visit the museum. Suppose I did not put my article, never met, I had to buy it. Later on, during our conversation, said his paternal grandmother was an Ilaolobi. My own paternal grandmother was also an Ilaolobi. General Williams also said his own paternal grandmother was the interest. So please, you have to as a human, I always listen about them. It is still evolving. It takes time. There are problems that the problems during their own time, during the military regime, the dynamics has changed now. During the military regime, the military administrator will be robbing from the same state. But today, you have a visitor that is from your state. Who can call somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows you? I say, I got my son. Thomas is like that, and they are free. That was not prevalent during the military regime. So it also involves that we have to come together, look at the emerging problems in the management of our government, but don't be a saboteur. When you sabotage, you are going to pay for it. So I hope that all that tech pass now, it has a better future. But it was planned for today. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you. More claps. Much more claps. We are talking about the caliber of the top 2 rated scientists in the world. I thought I would see bigger claps. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're coming gradually to the end of this workshop. And of course, we've listened to 3 different presentations. We just want to appreciate Professor Rede for taking our time to be here despite his health condition and of course for imparting on us. Baba, we appreciate you, sir, and we are glad you are at home and we will always see you around. Thank you. So, before Baba leaves, he will leave us with his parting word of the sage in response to one of the observations of our understanding.
I'm sorry I have to leave. You can see that this part of my mouth is swollen. I have to go and see my dentist now. I want to respond to the question that Madam raised, and then the question is, well, look, what our leaders are in the union depends on us. It doesn't depend on them. Especially now that we know what the role of members are in the organization. We can take on our leaders and really take them on and attend all congresses. We have provision for collecting signatures to call Congress. So you can collect signatures if your leader don't call Congress to discuss very important issues. But it's our union. Once we start saying they are union, then there's a problem. Never leave the union. The union belongs to you. Stay inside it. Don't say they are union. Once you begin to say that, you are giving the leadership that want to mess the organization up the chance to mess it up. I just want to make that. The question about the ownership of the university. Look, I'm from Oyo State. Actually, I'm a native of Oyo. But I have interest that is beyond Oyo State and beyond Oyo. beyond Yoruba land, beyond Nigeria. My interest is about protecting the truth the way I understand it. I'm even alleged to be a prince. So really, the point I'm making is, look, I took the appeal of some people who call themselves Parents Association of Lautech during that struggle when I was there. I was the person who took that letter along with Toyin Abeguri and Adekolaniyan to Aregbe to say that you people can run because Aregbe is our boy, it's our friend, our comrade before he joined politics. We went and I met him and delivered the letter, and I was able to defend what the university stands for and how politicians have become irresponsible in the way to run universities. Of course, he can always throw me out of his house in Osogbo, but I will leave the place and so on. So, please, intellectuals have responsibilities beyond where you are born, beyond your state. It's the only way we can create and invent a different kind of world. It's the only way. So I just want to appeal. We should. I think Professor Abiyanju made that point. We need to, especially the ASUU needs to have more public debates with our students. We can even invite people from town. Okay? More public debates. Look, the Americans are trying to turn the world upside down now. And we are not talking about it. We just sit down in the university. There is no Nigerian university